Welcome to the Union Federation podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network, where we discuss both Star Trek and the Orville. My name is Kevin. I'm going to be your captain today. And I'd like to, first of all, welcome my co-host, of course, and welcoming back. It's been such a long time. But, she's also the first officer, the counselor, founder of the BQN, host of Galaxy Class, and All Good Things, and a bunch of other awesome Star Trek goodness. Let's welcome Amy Nelson. What is up?
Woohoo!
It's been a while. How are you?
It has been so long that I am no longer host of Galaxy Class.
Wow, it has been a while.
Know. With Union Fed and All Good Things, and then recently started the View Screen, which was going live on Sunday mornings. I had to give something up, and unfortunately, it was Galaxy Class. But I'm still
give us a little breakdown here, because first of all, everyone, welcome. We're going to be discussing Star Trek Discovery Season 5. The first two episodes. First one is Red Directive and Under the Twin Moons. And here on the Fandom Podcast Network, we're buddies here with the BQN. So give us a little lowdown on what's happening over there.
Oh my goodness, you guys, please come on over. We have started a Discord, which I did not know could be so much fun. So if you are on Discord, please let me know. I'm on the Orville, our Facebook group page. Just reach out. I'll get you that Discord link. We have now Davey is on with Trexperts Quiz, and that has been way super fun. We are have the View Screen, which has just finished.
Explain the View Screen real quick. What is that?
So, you know how you have a talk show like The Talk or The View?
Right.
It's the View Screen.
I see what you're doing there. That's cool. Yeah.
A Trek-inspired talk show. So Calvin and I did it every Sunday. And we invited 3 guests on. And so we had little segments, and we talked about everything from designing and making crafts to politics to cooking segments in my own house. That was really fun. We did a little cocktail, just everything. We did cosplay, arts, and that's
everything. Really cool. That's awesome.
It was really fun, and we liked it so much. We're going to have a second season, and that's going to start just after Labor Day and go through Thanksgiving. So
very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Lots going on over at BQN.
Well, I appreciate you coming back. It's been a while since we've done a Union Fed, and of course, our security and weapons officer, Mr. Kyle Wagner. He's, of course, stuck on Taxlandia planet still. Yes. He's been very, very busy. Haley's going to join us, too. She's been busy herself. We miss you guys. And we got a season coming up here. So anyway, so we are discussing the final season of Discovery. And what's cool is I got this poster. And if you guys are listening to this podcast, make sure you check us out on YouTube, because we got some cool slides to go. But they've listed the names of all the upcoming episodes, which is pretty cool. And they dropped the first 2 episodes, Red Directive and Under the Twin Moon. And so I wanted to ask you straight up before we get into stuff here, Amy, how you feeling? Final season, Discovery. What are you thinking?
I remember being so excited every season after watching the first episode, and it's okay, I was so hopeful that things are going to be great. And then I get a little disappointed. You and I, we've talked a lot about what Discovery is and how we're just not into it. But I'm telling you what, these first 2 episodes are very different in tone. So I really, truly am very hopeful that this is going to be a fabulous season, that I'm not going to have any big major complaints.
Yeah. The tone comment that you just made there is a good point. I was kind of feeling that as well. I've just always felt kind of disjointed with the whole overall concept of Discovery, of being so far in the future, because my brain around Star Trek in general is within 300 years of each other. And it all seems so close when you go to the original TOS, to the TNG, to Voyager and all this other stuff. They're all within reference of each other because they reference each other.
Yeah.
But these first couple of episodes pay some homage to previous Star Trek, which, being a Star Trek fan and loving the final season of Star Trek Picard, that's where you hit us. That's that's the magic wand right there. So yeah. Now, before we get into talking about the first two episodes here, you had some news for us. I thought you'd go ahead and give us, because it's interesting because of where it comes from, but it gives us hope.
Yeah. The interesting part is that this is unofficial, but it is coming from Mission Log, which is a Roddenberry production, specifically covering the Orville. And it says, quote, "This is the news you've been waiting for, folks. Our source confirmed that the Orville is renewed for season 4. There'll be a wait for more news and dates, but we can confidently say that you will see our beloved cast and crew in the stars before you know it." End quote.
Now, this is the only source to report this, which people have questioned, like the validity of it. But because of the source itself has connections and knows people and stuff. So how are you feeling about this?
I am feeling very hopeful, again, because I know the folks over at Roddenberry production. Like, we know Norm, like he's, you know,
friend of the family here. Yeah.
Yep. And Mike Richards, he has done panels with the Orville crew. He knows them. So I feel like there's a lot of in with that show because of this. Seth MacFarlane has been on Mission Log, the Orville. Like, they know people who know things. So if they're saying it, I'm really feeling good about it. And I want it.
This comes at an interesting time. And here's why, Amy. Don't know if you know this or not, but okay. So Seth MacFarlane just recently wrapped up I'm going to call it limited series, because that's what people are calling it. There's no room. There's no confirmation there's a season 2. Are you familiar with the TV show Ted that he just released, based on the 2 movies that he did about the talking teddy bear? You familiar with that at all?
I know of the movie, but no, I do not watch stupid humor like that.
I have the DVD somewhere, but anyway, it's based on the 2 movies that starred Mark Wahlberg about this magical teddy bear that came to life. A very crass teddy bear, of course, but they decided to do a prequel TV series that took place in the early 90s about the younger character that Mark Wahlberg was playing. And it was only about 8 episodes, and I'm a Ted guy. I found it hilarious and very funny, but it's a limited series. And it has several people in that series that were from the Orville. Okay.
Oh,
yeah. He had several actors in there, and because, he knows these people and he has them in there. But this was recently, it's only listed as a limited series. And it also is one of the top streamers on the Peacock channel. So it was very successful for the Peacock channel. And so what I'm wondering if people were realizing, like, hey, whatever Seth touches, it's kind of gold here. Maybe he has the power and the pull to, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and greenlight this 4th season of the Orville, because with his power behind it and stuff like that, maybe they said, well, now's the time to make it official. And they kind of let it leak out to our friends, of course, at the Roddenberry Podcast Network there. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I'm just speculating, but the series was very popular on Peacock and was one of the reasons why I subscribed to Peacock. So just going to throw that out there. So we'll see. But I love seeing the Orville alumni on that TV series. So yeah. All right. Well, let's get into things here. But first, guys, if you have not seen the first 2 episodes of season 5 of Star Trek Discovery, here's a little spoiler alert. Yes, we're going to dive deep into things here. So the first thing we got, our first away mission, of course, is the first episode. And that is episode 5. Season 5, episode 1. And this is, of course, the final season. And this is Red Directive. Amy, you want to go ahead and read the little short synopsis that we have there?
Yeah, the Discovery crew are helping knit the Federation back together when they are sent out on a Red Directive. Dr. Kovich tasks Discovery with the recovery of an ancient Romulan artifact, a diary from 800 years ago, which is currently in the hands of 2 former couriers, Maul and Locke. It contains references to a technology of extraordinary power, and Burnham must get it back.
Yeah, there you go. So that dives right. That kind of cuts right into the episode here. And I just wanted to get your first reactions to this because we're getting a TNG throwback here, which we like, Amy.
Yes, we do. Oh my gosh. So remember, like in Lower Decks, where I'm like, they throw us all these Easter eggs left and right, high and low. And I just love it. And I almost feel that because of the success with all those Easter eggs from Lower Decks, that Discovery's like, you know what, we can do this. And I'm loving all the references that we get, this, ship and a gravity well and Romulan, and maybe it's cloaked, and oh my gosh, so well done. Did you like the Easter eggs? And then I also want to ask, do you think that Terry Matalas might have had some kind of influence on the writers of Discovery?
Yes, because the point that I made earlier for the reason why I felt so disconnected with Discovery was because it took itself away from the Trek that we all know and love. And we love it when, like, Lower Decks or makes reference to earlier things that happened, as well as TNG made references to stuff that happened in TOS. I think someone took a cue and realized, yes, there is a disconnect between Discovery, which is so far in the future. Was it 900 years? Remembering correctly? And full disclosure, I have not gone back and rewatched any episodes of any of the seasons of Discovery. I'm kind of coming in cold and just, watching the new stuff here. So I'm thinking that, yes, Amy, I think either it's Terry or it's someone realizing we need to find a way, if we're going to wrap this season up, let's connect it to something. And going back, connecting it to the chase, which I'm going to get to in a second here on some trivia, was a great way of kind of creating this bigger mystery for this first season, I guess. So yeah. So definitely. Well, speaking of some trivia here, guys, this gets a little fun here. So Salome Jens, the woman who portrayed the humanoid, is it progenitor? Am I saying that right? Progenitor?
Yeah.
In Star Trek TNG, and whose picture is shown in this episode. I'm going to go ahead and put up a slide here so people can see. Also played the changing leader in Star Trek DS9. And I also decided to throw up an old, it looks like a 1960s picture of Salome there with her blonde hair. Look at her. How cute she is there. I love that.
Yeah. My mom has a picture like that. Her junior year looks just that black and white, and she had blonde hair. Oh my gosh, I'm
not used to Salome smiling like that.
Yes.
Because in DS9 she played she was so cold. The playing the changeling founder commander or whatever, I guess. Next we have these guys. All right. So this was brought up in this episode. Velik, who was previously unnamed background member of the Romulan delegation from the episode of TNG, The Chase. And if you're looking at the picture here, he's the guy in the upper right-hand corner over the female, looking over the female Romulan there. I love that they just picked, who's that guy? I don't know, but he's going to be our guy.
Exactly. I was like, some random guy. And I'm wondering, does that guy get credit?
Yeah, good question. Who is that guy? Or did he sign his life away when he's just like Romulan in the background, dude?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The Chase was inspired by Carl Sagan's novel Contact, in which clues to the nature of the universe are discovered in a long calculation. Of course, this goes back to the Star Trek: The Next Generation Companion as well. So I love seeing these old Romulans. I love those love those outfits as well. So yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Did you, when you saw the Romulan and then you saw 24th Century Picard, like, were
Yeah.
you just screaming inside, like,
Well, yeah.
girl?
What's interesting too is I've always loved the Romulans because they were such good bad guys for Star Trek
Yes.
for a very long time. But what I like about this is that we're not getting that narrative now. We're getting this scientist guy who, yes, he's holding a disruptor pistol up in this picture of these guys, but something different happened. And I love the fact that you can pull someone out like that and instantly make them interesting. And I like that. So yeah, definitely. Well, let's get into some cast stuff here. Of course, this one was directed by Olatunde Asunanmi.
Good job.
That's a long name. I'm sorry if I butchered it there. And we got, of course, our regular crew, which is nice.
Now,
We get.
I believe that Olatunde has directed the episode 1 of every season.
Yes, that
And
is a very familiar name. Yeah.
Yes, and I think he's done the last episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So obviously we got our returning cast, and we get some interesting thing about them. We'll dive into them when that comes up. But I gotta go into the new guy here. This guy right here. Captain Rayner, played by Callum Keith Rennie. And I got some information on him. And I love it that the Star Trek people online just already put it up right away. And I love it. It helps us out as podcasters. But Captain Rayner is a male Kelleran Federation Starfleet officer who lived in the late 32nd century. He had joined Starfleet by the 3160s. During his time in Starfleet, he went on 7 Red Directive missions where he served point on 4. He also met Charles Vance and began a 30-year friendship. As of 3191, he was assigned to command the USS Antares. In 3191, he was asked by Fleet Admiral Vance to accept early retirement due to his lack of perspective and willingness to take questionable actions while pursuing criminals on an away mission. Of course, we saw that play out. I got a question, and forgive me, it just came up into my head. When I first saw his ears, it reminded me of that alien, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a test in TNG for Wil. It was a test he was going through, and he immediately came across this confrontational alien, and he saw how the alien had these traits, and he yelled back at him, and that was the right response. I thought this was that alien type character at first. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
and that's when Wesley is getting
he's going through the training, and he was
Right,
tested by this officer guy, yelling him and dressing him down and insulting him. And then he realized the type of alien that you had to be strong and forceful and like yell back at him to get the respect,
Yeah, so I didn't see that connection, and I should have looked it up. Oh, go back to that pictures just so I can.
This one here?
refresh my memory. Yeah, Rayner. So he is, and I'm again apologize for this, but he is from a Deep Space Nine one-off character. That's the alien race that he is. Armageddon, something, that episode of DS9.
Okay.
And he's got some kind of man bun on there, beginning of the man bun.
Hold on. I have a little history here.
Okay.
In 2370, the war between the Kelleran, where is it here? Oh, it just moved up here. The Kelleran and their neighboring enemies, the Talani, had just ended. The war had marked by the use of deadly chemical known as the harvester weapon. There we go. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's during Deep Space Nine, and all the crew gets involved with that. It had been sent to help destroy the last vials of the virus. Fortunately, the 2 were rescued by the crew of Deep Space Nine before Talani and Kelleran could kill them. So yes, okay. So there is some backstory. Okay, good. So it's not yelling down, dressing Wesley guy. Okay.
Yeah. Now, this actor, do you recognize him.
Oh gosh, you know what's funny? I do, but then I don't. How do you know him? I'm gonna look
Okay,
him up.
so he played Leoben. I think that's how you say his name. Uh, Leoben on Battlestar Galactica. So that
Ah,
is really cool. Then I also know him with Longmire, who Mary Wiseman also played on.
okay, gotcha.
And yeah, he was like on 6 episodes of that. And The Killing, he was on 7 episodes of that series, which I also watched too. So
Okay.
I am very excited to have him in our Star Trek family. I can't wait. I hope he comes to
Oh,
STLV sometime. I would love to talk to him
okay.
about BSG and The Killing. Oh,
Yeah, he was also in the Umbrella Academy. He was also in the movie
yes.
Memento as well. I think that's
Oh,
where
I
I
didn't
remember
see
him
that one.
originally from.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he
So
was in Longmire. Yeah, he's
this
been
is
in
a
a lot of
really
things.
good get for Star Trek. I'm very happy.
Oh, that's right. He was in the Transporter TV series. Okay,
TV
yeah,
series,
God,
yeah.
he's definitely one of those guys. And and he was also in Californication. That's right.
Yeah.
He immediately just came on the screen like, boom, I'm here and I'm here to stay. And apparently he is here to stay. So
Yeah, that was almost a little too telling because in this first episode, he kept showing up and I'm like, who is this guy? My first watch, I'm like, why is he interjecting? Why is he here? And then we learn, oh yeah, he's going to be the first officer. But it was a lot, this first episode. I
yeah,
kept wondering, why am I seeing so much of him?
I love him though. I think he's good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and
Mhm.
get into a way mission here, guys. Let's do this. All right. So the first topic I have here is episode tie into the Star Trek TNG The Chase. Oh, I love this. Picard tries to finish his old archaeology teacher's monumental last mission, solving a puzzle that leads humans, Romulans, Klingons, and Cardassians to the secret of life in the galaxy, revealing the origin of the humanoid life. What I love about this episode is that like the the Klingons and the Romulans were like, it's kind of like when you watch the end of let's just say an episode of a certain TV series, you get let down at the end, or you go somewhere and it didn't quite end up the way you wanted. They all were chasing a prize at the end of this episode. They thought there was something like maybe it was riches or it was power, but it was a lesson. It was a
Mhm.
lesson. And the TNG crew was like, yay! Everyone else was like, boo! Wasn't that pretty much spot on the way it happened?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Kevin, I've never heard it described that way, but it is. Yes, exactly.
So I love the tie-in. This is making Discovery a little bit closer to us, and I think this is a good move for the first episode. Your thoughts on the tie-in to the Chase of TNG? Season 6, if I remember right, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
6. Absolutely just all the feels. And what an episode to take off from because in TNG, you're looking back to who seeded the humanoids.
Right.
And Discovery, we're, 930 years in the future and still asking that question. I mean, it just sort of makes you wonder, they knew that all humanoids came from the same place. I don't know. We don't get much cultural background, but there seems to believe that it could be used as a weapon, but there is some kind of technology that say if I use this device and I could take my DNA, I could create different species based off of my DNA.
Right. Yeah.
That's the technology, that's the item that we're trying to get so how would you make that a weapon? Like,
Yeah, that's to be seen, but yeah,
yeah,
and when you look at this slide I have here of the Cardassian delegates, the Romulan and the Klingon delegates, they're asking that same question right now. Like,
yeah.
wait. this should give us some power, right? That's why we're all here.
Right.
But I just find it ironic, but insanely awesome that it is a Romulan out of this group that is the one that kind of took the next step. And, I want to know what that conversation happened when the Romulans went back to that ship. Like, was that one guy that was picked out for this going like, nah, there's something here, but I better keep my mouth shut or else I'm going to get killed, So, because like Romulan scientists, aren't they like, a myth? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Sort of like a Ferengi scientist.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So I wonder, because remember in the episode The Chase, like they would get there and then like the Klingons would destroy a planet, or
Right.
the Romulans would get a piece and then they would destroy it so that no one else could have it. So it does make sense that this scientist like found a piece and like kept it hidden because he knew that the Romulans or Klingons or, would just end up destroying it. So it does make sense that he hid it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Great call out. I loved how that got, especially when you're throwing up Picard on the screen. I'm like, yes. Yeah. I'm wondering if Burnham is going, all right, now I'm, he's like, or she's like, I'm with Picard now. I'm part of this fraternity. I'm a captain now. I wonder if that goes through her mind because Picard's a legend,
Well, but remember, she saw him in Unification 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Sarek and Picard.
That's right.
And and Spock. So this is now twice seeing Picard.
There you go. All right. So the next topic I got, I don't know why this isn't bigger news. For whatever reason, this just sent me. I'm like, yes, we get Fred the android, played by J. Adam Brown. And here's what we know about him. Fred was a Soong-type android built on Dr. Alton Soong's designs. His creator honored Soong throughout Fred's serial number, AS0572Y, which was printed on the internal memory drive. Fred expressed a particular fascination for linguistic quirks. And Fred worked as a fence for the settlement on Kumal. Kumal? Is that how you say it? Kumal? I think so.
Yeah.
He was one of the few fences that in that era interested in 24th century artifacts, which was known to Cleveland Booker. Fred was approached by the courier's maul and locked to move items as they were taken from an 800-year-old derelict Romulan science ship. Now, I want to go to the scene where he opens it up, right? And he's thumbing through the book, but he's like basically memorizing it all, and he's data reading, data fast reading. So whatever he sees, it captures. He won't forget it. And I'm thinking at this time going, wait a minute, he doesn't need that book anymore. Yeah. And it reminds me of a famous scene in the movie RoboCop where he says, his memory is admissible as evidence. And I just knew that things were going to go sideways. Yeah. So the fact that he gets killed is kind of important because it's all up in his brain. Or is he dead? I don't know. Yeah. I thought this was huge. Where did this guy come from? Your thoughts on Fred the android?
So, yes, I love that we are getting this huge continuum of android to Gollum and beyond, right? Mm-hmm. And I love they're like, oh, I haven't seen this kind of what were they called in Picard? Synths. Yeah. That it predates the synths. So I'm assuming this is an android, or do you think it's a synth? Because I mean, think back to Picard. He sort of looks like a synth, maybe an early synth. I'm just trying to figure out because he seems very sentient. He seems very easy to talk to, like he's not Data,
And he doesn't seem like a lore type with feelings either. But you see his complexion, you see his hairline and those yellow eyes. Yep. And then he's wearing that typical, like, I'm an archaeology type outfit person. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. And I just think it's so funny how, Data is one word and now here's Fred. And
I
they're
mean,
like, Fred
look,
who?
look,
Fred.
look
It's
at
only
look
Fred.
look at Picard's teacher outfit. It's that brown kind of coat outfit
Yep,
there. It's like I'm an
exactly.
archaeology outfit dude,
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to come back to this. I hope Discovery does too, because I find this fascinating. Who made him? Where did he
Alton
come from?
Soon.
Well, I mean, like, do
He
we know
came
that for
from
sure?
Picard era. That's the
Yeah.
tie-in. I love it.
And I do too, but that's a long time ago.
Well, I mean, Data has always said he's going to live forever.
Yeah.
And here we have Fred, who has lived 830 years at least.
Wow. What kind of life is that? I just have so many questions.
Yeah,
I need
right?
a Fred spinoff.
So imagine taking Fred's database and adding it to what Zora knows as well.
Oh my God.
I mean, Discovery
Open
is
can,
the
worms
essential.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. All right. Let's get into the next away mission, the next episode, guys. Here we go. All right. We are discussing Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, Episode 2, Under the Twin Moons. Amy, you want to give us our Admiral's Log short synopsis we have there?
Now, Discovery follows the clues in the diary, while Book investigates the Maul and Locke. Book makes contact with them and discovers something that challenges his willingness to oppose them. Saru, having decided to retire from Starfleet to pursue his romance with Tarina, spends his last day on active duty.
I
One
want
last
to
mission.
touch on this. This is so sweet.
Mhm.
I love Tarina. I love
Mhm.
the whole, like, are you proposing marriage?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
some cultures call that. I think it's cute, but I'm like, why is he leaving so soon? At least apparently. I mean, don't you get the feeling he's not going to be around much longer after the second episode? I mean, he's taken off, right?
No.
Yeah.
He's gonna be an ambassador.
Okay. So he and
Yeah.
Trina, are we going to see them doing some little side, episodes or side
Yeah,
stories
because
and stuff like that?
he already needed to talk to Tarina because she has access to the Romulan database where Starfleet was unwilling to give.
Right.
So we've already got this side in. So yeah, I am not even scared. We're going to be seeing Saru just as much as we see anyone else, i.e. Tilly, Detmer, Owo. Like, it's just the way it is. We'll see him when we need to, but we will see him for sure.
I want to get more into our first reactions, but I want to mention some trivia here first. An endearing nickname for Saru, especially when he gets into action events, as Action Saru. This episode canonizes this and reveals that he knows that he's been called that and he loves it. And we got some callbacks here. Burnham Saru discuss various 24th century Romulan cultural traits first established in the first season of Star Trek Picard. And Saru reminds Burnham of the day she first boarded Discovery, to his disapproval, of course, and the day he passed through the Valharai. I forget how you pronounce that. Valharai. He also reminds her not to touch the swamp kelp. I thought that was pretty funny. So give me your first reactions to the second episode.
And this episode really called back to Picard, which I love the series Picard, not TNG. So I love that they were like, well, what were the Romulans like back then? Okay, that sort of made me laugh. So that shows us that the Romulans have improved, they've gotten better, they've evolved. Excuse me. And what I liked about it was that they're secretive. And then they tied it to, they're being extra protective. And then we get that back door, which we learned from Picard. Absolutely beautiful, well-written callback. That one was really, really good. I really like that one. Then I also wanted to talk on like when Saru was saying goodbye to Burnham, like, and she's saying, well, we will keep your room exactly the same. Really? You're going to have a room on a spaceship that you're just going to dedicate to someone who doesn't live. That does not make sense. I mean,
Hold
if you
on.
want to, okay, all right.
Hold
Can you
on.
fix that for me?
Yes. Think of all the parents that have the empty nest syndrome of their star athlete child, and they keep the room the exact same way. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, that to me is like, get over it. Now, if they made it the Arboretum, I would totally agree with that because there was the Arboretum on Enterprise D, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to retcon it that way that it's going to be the Arboretum, but we're going to keep your room the same. No, we're not.
I think the retcon's a great idea because it's pretty much an Arboretum.
Yes.
I was impressed with the planet location here.
Yeah.
I loved these locations, long shots too. It kind of reminded me of some Guatemala filming locations that the original Star Wars did. I just love the structures and the threat and stuff like that. And then this weird thing, these little seek and destroy ball things. I forgot what they called them. These are really cool. Good, just a really cool look to the overall episode. I thought was good too. So yeah. And we had some good character moments too. So yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask just real quick, since you're talking about scenery. I think it was from the first episode, the desert planet. Any Tatooine vibes there?
Oh God, yes, definitely. Yeah, I don't know if I put those in here or not, but yeah, especially the speeder chase, the bike chase thing, that was really cool. Yeah, that.
And are
really
you
cool.
okay seeing that on Star Trek?
Oh yeah, totally. Because it the way they did it was definitely in a Star Trek vibe, and also too, I'm kind of getting the feeling that that Burnham is a woman of action. She's the first one to get up on top of the ship, and then she's like, she's going to be racing the bikes and everything. And that's a captain's prerogative. Come on, because Captain's been doing that for a while. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The second callback that I thought was a bit odd, and we'll put them all together. When Kovich, again, sorry, this was episode 1, had that infinity transport, and then they put him into the white space.
Yes.
Did you get a Matrix feeling about that?
No, to me, that's just Kovich being weird.
Okay.
He loves entrances. He loves putting on shows, and he loves saying cryptic, weird stuff. And the tech is so far in the future. The thing that's still freaking me out is the ship that has the nacelles that aren't attached, and they're just kind of floating there. That freaks me out. I see where you get the Matrix vibe. Yeah, it definitely.
So I did get the Matrix vibe, but then I got thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? It's more in Tapestry when Q takes Picard into. To me, that gave me more of a Tapestry feel. And then on this planet from this episode, and like you're saying, that Guatemalan, and then those spheres came out and was shooting at him. That to me was like Arsenal of Freedom. Do you remember that episode?
Yes, I do. Yeah, the automated
they were
weapons.
shooting at him, and there was no one on the planet except these weapons. And I'm like, hello. So again, we get this callback to TNG.
The Arsenal of Freedom, where they had to basically agree to buy stuff to make the weapons go away.
Yes. That's what it was.
Yeah, good
and they
call
were
out,
like, how can we stop them? We don't see any power source and stuff. And they're like, well, what did they use way back then? Just so
that's
funny.
that's a good call. I like that. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the first topic here. A central theme here, second chances. Burnham remains in debt to Saru because he gave her a second chance. Meanwhile, Captain Rayner is hauled before a Senate subcommittee for his impulsive actions in the previous episode, and Vance forces him into an early retirement to make his superiors happy. Burnham, with Vance's blessings, bring him on as number one to replace Saru. I like that hearing, by the way, because I'll be honest with you, Captain Rayner was just saying what we're all thinking. Like, why are we here discussing this in a committee? You know, he's just, he was a little more brash about it, but I'm sorry, he was saying what I was thinking.
And Burnham was saying exactly what I was thinking. They're like, why is my opinion mattering at all? It's an opinion. It's not right. It's not wrong. So I was really impressed with how she was standing up to them as well.
Yeah. I like this theme of second chances, and it's really brought the characters of Saru and Burnham together and closer. But it also makes me with Captain Rayner, who's now number one, and I like how he says, "I'm not a yes man," and she's like, "I hope not."
Mhm.
And I took that as, I'm not going to kiss your ass, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
But it makes me more interested in this new character even more, especially with the background of what he's been up to, because it sounds like he has a crap load of experience,
Mhm.
but he's a no nonsense guy, and and I have a feeling that with other crew members, you're gonna rub people the wrong way, and I'm looking forward to that conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, we do like the conflict,
Yeah,
definitely. And yeah, the second chances, it really Rayner's progression mirrors what Burnham went through because,
yeah,
Burnham Battle of the Binary Stars, had shot the Vulcan hello and shot first. And so that's why she was in trouble. And now we've got Rayner who, called the shot and got in trouble. And then they ended up both being first officers because Starfleet gave them that second chance. And I just
yeah.
think it mirrors each other beautifully.
And when you look at, from all the things I'm trying to remember that Burnham did, she got more than one chance, one second chance, it feels like, you know? So, yeah. Okay. So, the next topic I wanted to bring up, and I threw in two for this topic just real quick. The first clue is hidden under the obelisk, which is directly under the shadow cast by an eclipse of the planet's twin moons once every 7 years. As of this recording of this Union Federation, today we actually experienced a real eclipse here on Earth.
Yes, 4 hours ago, people.
Did you go out and did you get any eclipse glasses? Did you try to look at it with your bare eyes? Did you do that?
No, I did not. I didn't have the glasses, but I was watching it on TV and NASA. I was flipping through, but I was mostly watching the NASA channel.
I don't know if it's just my older age, but I was at work, and when it was happening, people were going outside looking at it, and I was busy writing an order. I was doing something, and someone said, "Hey, Kevin, you want to come check this?" I'm like, "Nope, seen them before. I'm good."
Yep.
Okay, the main thing I wanted to discuss here, and this is where things get interesting here. Maul and Lack. First impressions. Before we get into what we find out, though, we get this duo going on board the Romulan ship, getting this artifact, coming across the crew, escaping, them chasing them. I almost kind of want a little episode of just them doing stuff. I found this fascinating. Your first impression on Maul and Lack.
They were really just a surprise out of nowhere. And when I saw Maul, I was like, oh my gosh. So the actor, Eve Harlow, was on the cruise, last minute edition. And now I'm
Really?
like seeing
Hold on,
her and I'm like,
real quick. Back up. You're talking about Star Trek: The Cruise, which just happened, right?
yes, in February. Yes.
Okay.
And she was on the boat, and no one really knew who she was, obviously, because we hadn't seen her. And now I'm like, oh, I should have paid more attention to her. But she was on the cruise. So she's going to be great. I'm very, very excited to see her. And again, what I loved about those two was how Book looked at them with the longing of, oh, that used to be me and Burnham. So I
Okay.
love
Yep.
that tie-in with Maul and Locke.
I like how they have it. They always seem to have like an escape plan,
Mhm.
with devices helping them out, and that they seem to get each other's back. I like that. And I just want to give a shout out to Eve Harlow, who plays Maul. She was also in the 100 TV series in 13 episodes, and she was also in Agents of Shields for 5 episodes,
Hmm.
and in the series Next for 10 episodes. I want to give a shout out to Elias Tufexis. I think that's how you say his name, Tufexis. He is known for The Expanse, 10 episodes of The Expanse, in a show called Blood of Zeus and Starfield as well. So
Ooh,
um, I,
I've
I
seen The
loved
Expanse.
I loved how they're different species. I wasn't quite sure like who they were at first, but then you kind of started to see them work together. They had
Mhm.
chemistry, obviously. They're obviously I guess they're a couple. That's the way that we get it here.
Mhm.
And kind of just look both so cool.
Yeah.
And especially the way uh they're quick to the draw for the gun as well, especially when they're dealing with androids.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. So yeah. All right. So let's get into these two a little deeper here. All right. And I got this off a Screen Rant article. I want to give them credit here. After months of helping to resettle the refugees left homeless by the DMA, Book now has been assigned to the USS Discovery to track down fellow couriers. To me, that's just another word for like bounty hunter, I guess,
Yeah.
Maul and Lack. Studying the intelligence that Discovery has acquired thus far, Book recognizes that they're a couple in love. And as you referenced, Amy, not unlike Burnham and Book were at the start of Discovery Season 3. Convincing Maul and Locke to talk to them, Book isn't able to lure the couple into his trap as they once again evade Discovery. Book and Dr. Hugh Culber attempt to create a psychological profile on Maul and Locke, which reveals some surprising information. Booker says Malene Maul Revell is the daughter of his mentor, Cleveland Booker the Fourth.
Yeah.
Dun dun
So
dun!
what does this mean?
What does it mean?
Okay, because I'm just not sure on the family structure on Kajwan. Yeah.
Dejan, yeah.
So I remember when Booker met or when Burnham met Booker, and he's like, well, everyone's been called Cleveland Booker. I just go by Book. So this Cleveland Booker fourth was our Booker's mentor, but not like father. But it has to mean more than just some random teacher.
Yeah, and that's the thread they are intentionally
Yeah.
giving us to slowly pull on. And I like this because when I saw this couple in the first episode, I'm like, ooh, we're going to see them again, right? Yes, we did in the second episode. And now we're for sure going to see them again. And I find that fascinating. I love that they're making this interesting character attachment to someone who's in the cast. And it's not just, the cast dynamic that's going on that we always see and enjoy, but that we're getting these alien other creatures that now we get Book back into the fold because we need to see Book and Burnham. We need to see them hooking up again. Come on, let's just throw that out
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So yeah, I like that there's this mystery that they've started here, and I find those two characters very interesting and played well.
Yes.
And I want to know more how else and what else they've been up to.
Yep, I agree. I was thinking again, remembering how they like to storytell and twist and turn. And there's been things in Discovery, like think of season 2, where we start with the Red Angel and then it red signals and then it goes to Red Angel and then we go to AI and section or
Section 31.
AI, the dude.
Oh,
Anyways.
I forget. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not worth remembering. But the red signal was when I was so excited. I'm like, ooh, we're going to track down and we're going to see where these red signals go. We're going to go to this planet. And then, ooh, we got a red signal. Let's go.
Was that the one that tied into Burnham's mom? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I love this beginning and I'm like, "Ooh, let's go find another piece. Let's go find another piece." I'm just not confident that Discovery is gonna do that to us, and I worry that it's gonna
Mm.
twist and turn, and then we're gonna lose this beautiful chemistry that we have between Mal and Locke and this interesting tie-in to Booker that now he's got, like he said, my last bit of family because his entire planet was destroyed. So again, I would want it, but I'm been burned too many times with Discovery. So
You've
I
been
don't think
burned by the burn 'em, burn 'em.
yes.
No, I hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the frustrating things. I'm hoping that that's not the case for season 5. My hopes are up that you started out well. You've laid an interesting trail for different characters, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, we're going to continue more, of course, our discussion on these episodes. But first, let's go ahead and remember the old Ready Room discussion. Let's head on over there. Of course, this is the Fandom Podcast Network, and you are listening and watching the Union Federation podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel and also on audio. We appreciate that. Make sure you check us out on YouTube and subscribe. But we always love to dive into the Ready Room, hosted by Wil Wheaton, to kind of see which characters he has on. And we were in for a treat this time. We had the Ready Room, and of course, we had Mr. Doug Jones, who plays Saru. He talks about his character's journey over the years and teaches host Wil Wheaton how to walk like a Kelpian. Plus, we get an in-depth look at Star Trek Discovery's final season's connection to Star Trek: The Next Generation, and of course, they did call out the connection to the chase. One of the things I enjoyed about this interview with Doug Jones here, Amy, was that I loved how he started out by saying that the character of Saru and his species basically is born into fear. And that is unfortunately a thing that happens today and has been happening ever since, well, humans have been around when it comes
Mhm.
to power structure and how parents parent. And, it also, kids, unfortunately, also born into racism as well. And I
Mhm.
thought that was a very powerful statement because we got to see his basically, if I remember correctly, his early belief basically blown up of how things really were and not
Mhm.
the way he was taught, right?
Yeah. And to try and relate to someone who is born into fear when you weren't. So to try and make that connection, and again, Saru's making this beautiful transition going through Baha'i to now trying to understand, oh, I don't have to live in fear. Yes, I was born into fear, but now I don't have to live in fear. And again, when he's describing that arc, it just was beautiful.
And of course, in our age, we've grown up with parents who know how to put the fear into us of not doing certain things, whether you grew up with a certain religion or if you believe that there was the monster underneath your bed or the boogeyman in the closet. So,
I just want to know. Yes, I had the fear of my mother and the countdown. Did your parents do the countdown?
oh yes, yeah, they tried everything. Yeah.
It was so for me, I 3 was all like 1, 2, I didn't no, I'm doing
Yeah.
it, whatever it was. I never saw 3.
Yeah.
My younger brother, he got to 5, and I'm like, I didn't know I could have gone to 5.
That's good. That's good. One of the other funny things, and we got to see this on video, was Walk Like a Kelpian. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the Walk Like an Egyptian song
Yes.
here. We got to see Doug teach Will how to walk like a Kelpian. And I love how they're walking around the offices.
Oh.
And you see Doug do the swaying of his arms in the
Mhm.
back, but he does it like in a slow, gentle move, sway. And he kind of says it's kind of like walking like a supermodel. And you see Will follow him around, and they come across that Picard standee, and
Yeah.
they're both looking at it. And then Will goes, "Yeah, my mom's on that show." That's pretty funny. But I thought that was a very funny moment, seeing teaching And I don't, has he done this in panels before at Star Trek conventions or cruises? Has he like taught people how he does the Kelpian walk? Because it's very graceful. And then he's
It
got those
is.
weird raised shoes too, and trying to run in that, you know?
Yeah, he has walked. I don't think he's ever taught anyone on stage, but he's definitely, done the Saru walk.
Yeah. And I love that he gave a shout out to his stunt person because of that scene where he's running away from those robotic killer androids or whatever they were. And you see his character running really fast. And he kind of talked about that scene a little bit, which I thought was interesting. But I wanted to give you a chance to talk about it. Was there anything else here in the ready room that jumped out to you?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, the behind the scenes of it was like a treadmill
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
ground, but was being pulled by a truck on. How dangerous would that have been? Oh my gosh. I mean, you couldn't be running because the truck was moving as this thing. I don't
That
know. It was very
that
interesting.
That trick is actually an old trick, and I first remember learning about that trick when I was watching the behind the scenes of the movie Underworld, and one of the vampires was running really fast.
Oh, yeah.
This long kind of tr running, not a carpet, but basically a treadmill.
Yeah.
Wasn't rolling, but it was just on the ground being pulled by the truck with the camera. So the actor was being pulled fast, but also running
Running.
normal human speed, but it
Yeah.
made him look like he was going twice the speed, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked the connection to the chase. They had that segment where they talked to the cast members, the writers, of how they tied that episode of TNG to this and how this would make a great thread. Even had Jonathan Frakes commenting on it too, which I thought was cool.
Oh,
Do you remember that? Do you remember
no.
that? You don't remember that? Yeah, Jonathan Frakes was talking about it
Hmm.
in that segment, which it was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
it was nice to see the people behind the scenes talking about the writers and how TNG is a lot of people's Star Trek. One of them had mentioned that, like, I grew up on
Yes.
TNG, and this
Yes.
is it. And of course, we recently had Star Trek Picard wrap up as well, and that making, of course, obvious throwbacks to that TNG series, bringing back the Enterprise D and stuff. Was there any other thing regarding the ready room you wanted to throw out?
Yeah, I think that covers everything.
That's
Yeah.
it. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's get some final comments. All right, Amy. I'll be honest with you. When I was getting ready to watch Star Trek Discovery, I didn't realize they were dropping the first two episodes because I think I watched the first one on Friday, and then it wasn't until like a little bit later I was like, oh, because I just watched it like, and then it didn't like automatically play the second episode
Oh,
because I had to do something, so I just turned it off.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
like, oh crap, there's a second episode. I thought that was a smart idea, especially the way these tie together.
Mhm.
Your thoughts. Give me your final thoughts on these first two episodes. That is, of course, the Red Directive and Under the Twin Moons.
First of all, kudos to very good episode titles. I will remember them.
Mhm.
They make sense to me. This is definitely the Red Directive. This is definitely the Twin Moons episode. Like, I'm going to be able to remember them, unlike some other weird Discovery titles. Anyways, one other thing that I noticed, and again, I don't know if it was done on purpose. I would like to think it was, but I don't think when they shot Discovery season 5 that they knew it was going to be their last. But on the very first episode, think back, the Vulcan Hello. We have Burnham and Captain Giorgio walking on this desert planet, and she's wearing this blue hood thing and stuff.
Yeah.
She's wearing the same thing here in the first episode of the final season. So I
Oh
sort of
yeah.
like that bookend of her costume design of the very first parts of these episodes that she's wearing the same thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Again, like I said, very hopeful. The tone of it was lighter. Doug Jones talked about it a little bit on the Ready Room, how it's like the the action scenes, very, very actiony, but there's comments in there. The dialogue is more lightweight, like Booker and Burnham when they're on those dirt runners.
Yeah.
And she's like, I have a phaser in my hand, because he was giving her grief for, well, at least we could be falling in or, dropping off a cliff, which was reference to season 3. Like the callbacks and the levity during these high action scenes really make a change in the tone. And I really like it. It doesn't feel like this major seriousness. Now, again, it doesn't look like we're going to try and save the all sentient life. We're finding where sentient life came from. So again, that's a little more hopeful that it's not going to be this devastating major drama, major negative, major, catastrophe, that this might be a very good season. And I almost am afraid that it's going to be so amazing that we're going to wish that we had more discovery.
I see where you're going at with that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm going to keep my expectations tempered, of course.
Yes.
But it's off to a good start, and I love they did throw in the action scenes, and we get a little bit of all of the main crew. Our navigator and pilot girls, though, they get a quick mention, but we hardly see them.
Don't get me started about that.
Yeah. Awushikon and the other girl. So yeah, but it was nice to get Book back, of course, and shout out to the cat. Woohoo! That was good. Me being someone who has admitted not being a fan of this show overall, I do try to make a point to watch all of new Star Trek at least once. And so I'm hoping that we get a lot of good more character moments, which is what kept me going through the original previous 4 seasons. The overall story arc lines have pretty much failed me personally going to it, but I enjoyed it for a lot of character moments of certain scenes. And I'm hoping that both the story arc and all of this will mesh into something that will carry this season and give it a good final send off, I guess. So yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. All right. This is Union Federation Podcast on the Fandom Podcast Network and also on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out. Give us a like, share, and a comment. And also to go ahead and check out the BQN there with Amy Nelson and crew. Amy, first of all, next episode, you know how you were talking about weird episode names? The next episode in the Orb of Prophecy, we look at, it's called Jinaal, Jinaal. Don't know what that means, but we do have a name of all the upcoming episodes. Names for everything coming up. It's Jinaal, and then the next one's Face the Strange, followed by Mirrors, Whistles Speak, Araga, Labyrinth, Lagrange Point, and the last episode, which is episode 10 of season 5, is Life, Itself. So there's a little tease into the episode names. But back to you, Amy. What's happening? How can we get a hold of you on the BQN?
Well, come on over Facebook group, BQN Collective, or on Discord, reach out. I'll send you an invite to our server there on Discord. I am on Twitter, X, whatever, at Miss Amy Nelson. But again, our Facebook group, our Union Fed Facebook group.
Yeah, Union Federation Facebook group. Make sure you guys check that out. We're talking all things Star Trek and Orville too.
Yes, and still doing a podcast of all good things. So
good. Awesome. Well, my name is Kevin. You can find me on X, Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd at Spartan_Phoenix. Make sure you check out Kyle. He's at AKyleW on X, on Instagram at AKyleFandom. He's also on Threads and Letterboxd as well. And is Haley still on Twitter? Is she? Because I still have her at Trekkie01D, or did she move over? She's on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's no longer on Twitter.
Well, make sure you guys check that out. Amy, this is fun. We're back talking Star Trek again. It feels like it's been a little too long here.
Yes. So good.
Well, we want to thank you guys all for listening and for watching us here on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel. Live long and prosper. And we are without a doubt the weirdest ship in the fleet. Thank you, everyone. We will see you next time.